Okay, in this video I am going to, let's move this back to the snapshot. So I'm going to restore it back. No, I meant to uncheck that. Restore, uncheck that, restore. Alright, so this is a snapshot of my computer. I thought I did it. Okay. Alright, fine. Alright, so this is a snapshot of my server after project 1, before project 2. I'm going to have to import in my Windows 10, which I have already got downloaded. It is already on my local hard drive under Documents, if I remember correctly. There it is. So I'll create that when time comes. So again, this is going to go. This is in reference to project 2. So if I should have brought it up ahead of time, but just want to get this thing started. All right, here we go. Windows 2, project 2. There we go. All right, so we'll have to download that. We have the local. I put in the local login for Windows 10. What we're going to do is essentially set up a Dhcp server. We're going to bring up the Windows 10 machine, make sure we get an IP address, then get logged into Active Directory, have our computer join the Active Directory, and then we're going to create a GPS or GPO, create a GPO to change the desktop of the Windows 10 desktop operating system. All right, so those are our main points. So what we're going to have to do is oh, this thing got split. All right, and so we're going to have to give the output from the export DHCP server, the export from this command here, and then a screenshot of the beautiful desktop. So let's close that. All right, so let's get back to work then. Let's do that. All right, so booting up my server 2016 device, virtual device. And that is working. That should be pretty quick. There it is. It's coming up. Then I'm going to log in. I wonder what. It's probably going to force me to change the password yet again. Let me bring up my notes. Project 2 notes, which I brought over my Win16. It made me change my password when I ran through this in class. And then since I just restored a snapshot, I think it's going to have the old password, which will be kind of funny. But and then it'll force me to change it, which I can just change it back. So the circle of life continues. All right, while that's coming up, I can probably get the import procedure. All right, well, there I go. I threatened to do something else, and it popped up. All right, there you go. I think this is what's going to work. I think this 106 Inc. Exclamation point LA pass. Let's try it. 106 Inc. Exclamation point capital L capital A PASS. My password expired. Must be changed. Okay. And then what I set it at before was give me a break, uppercase break with exclamation point. Give me a break. Confirm password. Give me break, exclamation point, changing password. There we go. Fantastic. All right. So we're going to log in as our administrator. So what we got to do is get DHCP working on this computer. All right. As you can see, if I click on Tools, DHCP is not an option because we haven't installed it. It's not part of the package of when you install Active Directory Directory Services. So we're going to have to install Active Directory, the DHCP. So we'll do it. Install Windows feature. Windows feature. DHCP, and I do have this in my notes. DHCP, dash name. Well, I'll tell you what, I have control copy paste. I'm going to move it over. This is the command you're going to want to do though. Install Windows feature. Install Windows feature and dash name DHCP, and then we want to include management tools, which I did not get all of. All right. So we'll back that up. Whoop. I'm going to hit backspace. There we go. Install Windows feature, -name, quote, DHCP, include management tools. So once this runs, we're gonna have to, as we talked about this a little bit in this class, we're gonna have to set a user to actually run this process. It's gonna be a background process. DHCP is gonna be running as a background service, Dhcp Server, and so we have to establish which user is going to run it. So that's we're going to have to set that, and then what we're going to have to do is create a scope. While we're doing that, we can import. So I'm going to do a file import appliance, point it to my Windows 10 ADDS CLT OVA. You can download that directly from the link right here on the project 2. So we're going to select that. What happened? I gotta Alt tab over to it. I've lost it. Oh, there it is. That's the one I wanted. And then, of course, I've lost it. So let's click on it. There we go. So hit open. And then next, and it will. This is the one I set up. I use the multi editions CD-ROM. It's going to install Windows 10 Pro. It does have a activation key, one of my personal activation keys, so please don't use it and abuse it, because I try to keep using them, and that way you didn't have to download one or find one for yourself. When we boot this up, we're going to make sure it is on the proper network. It's going to be on the same isolated network as your 101, your 121 network, that from Project 1. So, all right, so we'll import that in. There it goes. Let that go, and by then my DHCP server, this is almost like a cooking show, going back and forth between the sauce and the steak. So the DHCP server is back up and it's been installed. Now, I can't find a smoother way to do this. I'm not in love with this. Let me refresh this. If I refresh my server manager, a little exclamation point is going to pop up here. There it goes. And it's going to say I got to finish up my DHCP service install or configuration. I'm not in love with that, and I can't really, I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but or I could have done it probably with the install Windows feature. I could have probably passed this off as a variable, but anyway, it's just asking me what credentials to use. We're going to use this administrator, 106 Inc. administrator. That's my that's going to be my username. That's the one that installed it. That's my administrator. That's the one that's in their default. We're just going to use the administrator. That's fine. Okay, so that's done. And now that I've done that, I should have a DHCP tool here. All right. Also, point of order, my DHCP, my DHCP popped up. My administrator, 106 Inc. local administrator, is also my Active Directory administrator. Is my Force admin. I've worked at places where that is verboten, so just keep that in mind. We're doing it for simplicity's sake, and it does make your life a lot easier. Not keeping the local admin and the ADDS admin as two separate or as one user makes your life easier, but it's also sometimes not accepted. All right. So IPv4, we're setting up IPv4 scope. If you remember from Networks 2, for folks that are taking Networks 2 with me, setting up a scope in Linux is going to be a much different experience here. We just click on New Scope. We get a nice GUI to walk us through. I have, the name of my company is 106 Inc. Yours is going to be 121 Inc., right? This is just the name. This is good practice to 106 Inc. _ we'll just call it user scope. All right, and then scope for 106 Inc. users. Right. I always fill out the description with something. It's just good practice because people who leave descriptions blank are usually not helpful to other admins that follow behind them. So for the IP address scheme, if I do an IP config, right, I'm on the 10.106.1 network. So what I'm going to do is the first address I'm going to do is 10.106. You're going to be different. This is going to be based off of your project 1, and that's going to depend on whether or not your student number is an odd or even number, right? If you're odd, an odd number. If you're even, you were going to do 121.0.0/25. If you were even, if you were odd, you were going to do 128/25, the second subnet there. How are we looking time-wise? Keep an eye on that. All right, so there I am, 10.106. 1, because I'm different. I'm special. There we go. I'm going to start with 10. You can set up whatever you want. We're only going to need a couple IP addresses. This is experimental purposes, so we're not setting this up for like a real business or anything like that. We're just going to get this up and running. So I'll give myself 10 addresses. There's a couple ways you go about this. You can keep clicking on this until you get all the way to 24, or what I like to do is just do 255. And then if I click this up and click this back down, I'm at 24. But anyway, you want 24-bit subnet mask, or you could just type 24 in there as well. That's one way to do it. Or the subnet mask. There you go. And I hit next. We're not going to have any exclusions in the real business world. This is where you put stuff for printers or for for IP addresses that you want to excluded address range, right? We're not going to worry about excluded addresses. I just like to make mine one day. You can make that whatever you want. It's not a big deal. We do need to configure options, though. All right. The most critical thing, well, this is the default gateway. It's just nice to have 10.106.1.254. I'll add that. Okay. Click next. So DNS is the critical thing. We already have a DNS server. I just want to make sure it's working, right? Because we're not going to be able to get Active Directory working without DNS. So if I go back to Server Manager, click on Local Server, click on Computer Name. There might be a quicker way to do it, but this works for me. I highlight this. I copy this. This is my FQDN. This is my server name .106.local. That is my fully qualified domain name. All right. So I'm going to just try and make sure that works. I'm going to paste it there. I'm going to resolve it. I should get an address, and it should be this address here, which is my server. That's the DNS server. Myself is my DNS server. Okay. If I do an ipconfig all /all, I'll see that my DNS server is, well, myself, loopback address 001 or 127.001, right? So that means I'm resolving back to myself. All right. I don't need to add that in because it's already in there. So I'm going to go click next. That was just me making sure. Win server, we don't need one. I'm just going to put it in there because it's quick. There we go. Again, it'd be myself. Wins refers to NetBIOS, which is just old school networking, but it's still used. So anyway, do I want to activate the scope? Yes. Next. Finish. There we go. I have a scope. By then we should go back here. And we have Windows 10 imported in. So what I want to do is make sure I'm on the right network. I'm going to click on Global Tools. You're going to be different. Everyone's going to be different depending on what Visor software you have here. I'm just verifying which of my local LANs I've set up to do this. It's called VBox because VirtualBox won't let me rename these, which is annoying. But there you go, VirtualBox Net 2. So that should be the network I'm on. You want to put it on the same network as your server, which should be probably for you 10.121.0. Either 0 or 128, depending if you're odd or even, right? All right, so let's go back to Machine Tools. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to right-click on it, and I'm going to just make sure my network is set to VBox Net 2. Since I created the image, it is. Chances for you, you're going to have to set this. So I'm making sure it's on the same network. And I'm going to boot it up. All right, so now I've got Windows 10 running on the same computer, and I'll minimize this. Ooh, got some visual tearing there. Didn't like that. Whoop. All right. I got Windows 10 running on the same machine that I have Server 2016, right? Two separate virtual machines linked to the same virtual switch. All right, so now what I want to do is get my password in for here. Again, the username is going to be local admin. Here it is, local admin. And I'm going to right click and hit paste. Hopefully it doesn't work. No, I don't think Virtual Tools is loaded up yet, so I'll just type it in manually. 121 Inc. _ loco admin. Yay, fun names. Alright. There I am. It's coming up. It's loading. I'm in as a local admin. That's why it's got a red background. It's an old trick. Already I know I'm on the same network. It's telling me, hey, identify this as 106.inc.local. Why did it identify it as that? Because I'm running, do you want PC discoverable? No. We're going to do this the hard way. Alright. Again, I got, what you call it there, running. Here's my password. There you go. Password on a sticky note. That is bad. But we're not in security class, so be it. This is me testing my VBox tools, which are already installed in here. If you're running VMware, you're gonna have to install your own tools to copy and paste out of here. If you want copy and paste out of here. Same thing with the server, which you set up yourself, so that should work. All right. So we're up. What I want to do here is make sure PowerShell, and let's actually add this to the taskbar. I want to make sure that I have the right IP address. So I'm going to do ipconfig. Let's see. Awesome. Got an IP address from my server, right? So I'm set for DHCP. I got that IP address from my if I do ipconfig all, I'll see my DHCP server was .1. DHCP server was .1. That's who gave me my address. Good. Everything's working like it's supposed to work so far. All right. What I want to do is create. Well, let's join the domain then, since we're here. Well, yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Nope, that's not what I want. All right, I'll just do it. There we go. All right, so let's join the domain. The way we join a domain, I right-click on this. I go to System. I say. No, some people are saying I can do it through here. No, I cannot. That's not true at all. So system information, it's annoying, right? What I did was I clicked on Start, went to System, and I clicked on System Information. All right. And now I go down to here to change settings, and I'm going to change my I'm going to go down to this change down here under computer name, but it's not. I'm not changing the computer name, but to rename this computer or change its domain. So I'm going to click change to join a domain. So what domain am I going to join? Well, again, if I want to just, you know, I have Microsoft here. I might as well copy and paste. I'm going to just grab my domain right here. I have it right there. But it's going to be the name of your domain. It's going to be the last part of your DNS, right? So I'm going to hit OK there. It's going to ask me for credentials. That's good. That means it's actually resolving. If it doesn't ask for those credentials, then your probably DNS isn't working. All right. So in this case, for me, it's administrator, and then give me a break. For you, it might be different. It's what you set your username as. I'm going to verify that's right. I'm going to hit OK. It's going to think, and hopefully it'll say, welcome to the domain. Now I'm going to have to reboot, because this reboot action of rebooting my machine, restart now, is when Active Directory is going to completely take over this machine. All right. So now I'm in Active Directory. Since I am in Active Directory, let's make it so we're going to move on to the next part, which is create the GPO, which I think should be a separate video. So this is going to be project 2, part 1, and then we'll have a project 2, part 2. All right. So I'm going to publish this, and then I'll make a second video. All right. Thanks. Bye.